Number one, I don't have a bucket list because I associate bucket lists with death. And I would think about death more often if I had a bucket list. I also don't want to think about life as something to complete before I die. Do I think about how everyone dies one day? For sure I do, which is why I tend to focus on working hard now to build a better future for 1 year or 5 years or 10 years' time. And I like to go on ski trips. Spend the kids' inheritance trips. Like last year, I could have done some more home reno in preparation for selling my house, but I decided to go on a trip to New York. It was my first trip ever to New York, and I went to a 3-day perfume convention that I had been dying to go to. And can I take a remodeled laundry to the grave with me? Because I doubt on my deathbed I'm going to say, I wish that I'd had less fun, and I wish that the house could be prettier for you, kids, to sell, and for you guys to go and have fun. I mean, I want that for my kids. I do. I'm not a bad mother. But I'm just saying, like, while I'm still here, I want to do stuff. We all want to do stuff. So let's just do stuff. Number 2, I do Botox and fillers, and I'm pretty open about it. Do you like that quote, you wouldn't worry so much about what others think of you if you realized how seldom they do? I like that quote because I know that's true for me. Like, I've talked about it before. To me, that's a helpful and humbling belief because then you can focus on the things that you can control. I kind of put that sort of worry about like external validation as things that are a little bit outside my control or a lot outside my control, like politics, I tend to want to control the controllables. No amount of worrying that I do about what others think of me or politics, is going to make one iota bit of difference. So, yeah, I just don't worry about that stuff. I don't follow fashion trends, and I don't want to dress like a great-great-great-great-grandmother. You know those Fisher-Price dolls? The ones where they've got, or think about any brand, like a family doll set, and you see the grandparents, and they look a certain way, don't they? I don't see any of those grandparents looking a way that I can aspire to want to look myself because, hey, aren't we all just still 30 years old inside our minds? And it's just our bodies that are betraying our will, like our mental age. It's our bodies betraying our mental age. But yeah, when I look at those doll sets, there's nothing about the way that the grandmother and grandfather dress that makes me excited, to get to that stage in my life. Not saying that I would not look forward to being a grandmother because, of course that will be absolutely beautiful, if and when that time came. I mean, I don't know whether my children want to have children, when the time is or isn't right for them, or all the factors that go into whether people can have kids or want kids or can have children, all of that stuff. But just saying that I don't see any of those dolls looking like the kind of doll that, I hope to be when I am a little bit further along and wanting to, I don't know. Where's the Japanese designer fashion grandmother doll? Fisher-Price? I don't know, what other brands are there? I love Yohji Yamamoto. He is my favorite Japanese designer. And honestly, there's a lot of them. And, I want to be the Fisher-Price grandmother doll that's wearing black. Just a little bit gothic, maybe some romantic gothism sort of style. We're talking avant-garde shaped clothes. We're talking black. Architectural shapes, think paper planes, think paper bags blowing up, kites, that kind of stuff. Black, all shades of black. Jet, charcoal, oil, deepest, darkest black, faded black, light black, washed out black, been through too many washes in the laundry black. Every black, I'm here for it. I want to see the grandparents wearing some black, okay? I could buy into that. I could really, really buy into that a little bit more. So, and William Lewin Griffith's jewellery. So I'm wearing a couple of items today. Just show you this piece here. This is a little bit of a statement-y kind of show-offy piece. That's what it is. And this one is too. And I know that some people talk about liking my jewellery, and Both of these are William Lewin Griffiths, who is an Australian designer. So yeah, this is what I want to be wearing. I want those Fisher-Price dolls, okay? Maybe it'll be for me to design that kind of doll. Who knows? All right, we'll get into the punchy stuff here. Number 3 is I'm not a natural gardener and I don't have any houseplants in my house. I know that sounds really, really bad, doesn't it? It does sound bad. The fact is I don't love working in the garden as much as a lot of other people my age down my street do, or probably in my neighbourhood, or even, let's face it, my city, my country. We are a nice green country here and people do love their gardens, and I love to look at pretty gardens, but I just prefer to do other things with my time rather than spend a lot of time in the garden. At this stage in my life, after looking after my heavy-duty yard and garden and property, I think that I am more like apartment-style kind of person. So yeah, I think from here, I'm moving sort of pave my paradise and put up a parking lot. I know, that is freaking polarizing, I know. I can go for months where I am not out there, usually the months where there isn't heaps of growth, and I definitely make myself get out there before the council comes knocking or wants to sellotape some kind of, letter to my front door, or even before any anonymous letters might appear in my letterbox saying, "Dear lazy pig," like you are bringing the whole street down. So yeah, I haven't had any of those letters, and I work minimally to not get any of those kinds of letters. But you know what I'm saying. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I'm saying. I'm just not gardening. Having said that, I know that there is every good thing about being in the garden. And when I'm in the garden, I'm present. Okay, I might have headphones on, listening to stuff. I am grounded. I'm in the earth. I'm getting dirt on my garden gloves, all of that kind of stuff. So it does feel good being outside, but I tend to want to be outside but not doing lots of gardening chores, which I've got the kind of property that's all about chores and stuff like that. And yeah, I know that I could have beautified it a lot more, but I forgot to. I'm kind of like that cartoon where the lady says, "I left the baby on the bus." I'm like, oh no, I forgot to be a good gardener. So yeah, true story. Not proud. Also, I don't have houseplants in my house. And the main reason I don't have houseplants in my house is because I don't have a very big house. There are a few of us living there, and we all probably have a bit of clutter. Maybe I have the most clutter, actually. Yeah, I should just own that. I've got the most clutter in my house. When you've got a few people living in a not very big house and you all have got stuff, some people more than others, then I don't think that does houseplants the justice. Like, I don't know, I just don't think houseplants look very attractive when you've kind of got stuff. Like, I mean, when I say stuff, not ornaments, I'm not an ornaments kind of person, but the kinds of things that I do have in the house would be, okay, sports gear, art stuff, lots of pads of paper and notebooks everywhere. People have got computers and tech gear, books, quite a few books around, maybe quite a few soft toys that are just like fun to kind of have, and people just like, we play silly games with soft toys and things like that sometimes. But yeah, so that's part of it. So yeah, this is thirsty work admitting all of this kind of stuff. Right, number 4 is not feeling obligated to people pleasing, or JOMO, the joy of missing out. JOMO. You're welcome. So yeah, I am an extrovert for sure, but I'm not 110% extroverted. I have got a heavy people contact job. Like in my job, I've got more than 100 direct reports. And so that keeps me like, pressing the flesh all day long with quite a lot of people and trying to help them solve their problems. I'm trying to solve some problems and, helping them to help me, to help the owners of the company, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I am in people soup all day long, which I like the kind of work that I do. It's just that I don't need to have lots of people contact all day long. Like, yeah, my family are good people contact at the end of the day, and everyone kind of does their own thing when they need to do their own thing. So no one is like out extroverting, everyone. So everyone's just got places to go when someone's been a little bit too noisy. But yeah, so I like the kind of work that I do. It's just that I need to withdraw from people at the end of the day, like work people particularly. And yeah, I just don't always have the social battery to just, keep on doing more of like just a lot of people stuff. You know what I mean? Just super quick, I want to show you the back of my top. With social occasions, I think it's okay to say no and just recharge and do my own thing and the things that I need to do and the things that will make me sleep well that night because, I've achieved some of my own things that I want to do because I think that having a job at this stage in life is helping pay the bills while I'm working out, other things like, starting to build a business for later in life. And we are hoping that we have more years in life, don't we? So yeah, the fact of the matter is that if I don't have time on my own, not saying for 1 second minute that I am inundated by any kind of social calendar, invitation situation, because I'm totally not. Really, I'm not. Like anyone who knows me knows I'm a total nana. Like, if you don't know what kind of a nana I am, even though I went to New York to the 3-day perfume convention, I did buy a ticket for the party on the last night, and I just wasn't feeling up to it. Like I wanted to just go and have a nice burger and chips from one of those lovely green organic places in New York that have just got all the clean bowls of food. I just wanted to do that and just to be warm and just relax and down tools. It was just a lot and everyone was getting into it. And honestly, I'm into it. I like people and I like doing lots of stuff with people, but I'm just saying that I'm not trying to prove anything here.
The library is closing in 20 minutes.
Yes, I know.
Please
Yeah.
ensure you have issued each item that you need to take and are ready to leave now.
Yeah, so that's all just to say that I do love a party, but I just don't need to always be out and about. And I think probably maybe in younger years I might have felt it was like, someone's been really, really kind, which is true. Someone's been really kind and asking you to do something. Just being inclusive. We're being nice people out there in the world, out of their houses and out of their pajamas at night. So I just like to have the headspace. Also, I think it's about honouring one's energy levels and also just self-care, just protecting one's mental health. Not that I'm at risk of social burnout, but social burnout is a little bit real, isn't it? It can happen if you just go running around willy-nilly, crazy all over town. Yeah, that's no risk of that happening with me. And I just like doing my personal projects. I've always got personal projects on the boil. And when I'm really into something, I'm really into something. And I'm just kind of like, I'm into something. So, yep. While we're on the topic of JOMO, I don't like going to people's houses for dinner. Now, that is kind if people do ask other people to go to dinner at their house. But I'm talking about social acquaintances or sort of new friends. Like, first of all, I just don't need to have like a fancy dinner. I don't get invited to people's houses for dinner very often at all. Like extended family, yes. Close friends, and I've got very few close friends. That doesn't feel like I've been invited for dinner because, those people feel like family. But, like the last time that I was invited to dinner, someone sort of tried saying to me, what did they say? Do you like pulled pork? They said, we're having pulled pork for dinner. And I just thought to myself, what's the right thing to say here? So I think I said, oh, wow. That's what you say. You say, oh, wow. And they just said, would you like to come? Do you like pulled pork? Because, we're having that for dinner if you'd like to come. And I don't know, it sounds really, really mean, but honest to goodness, I am a plain food eating person. Do not get me wrong. I like going out to restaurants. If it's someone's birthday or you're away somewhere or whatever, clearly I love food, right? No shortage of food here. No shortage of eating here. So yeah, I'm loving all that stuff. But it's just that I can take it or leave it. Like that is really the honest truth. And I'm a pretty functional eater. If you know me, I can literally, like I kind of don't want to show people my lunch at work because, it could look like cereal, with like a small tin of fruit or something like that. It could, and honestly, that's really embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing. If I do that, I try to decant the cereal into a bowl or like a container with a lid on it because, if I've been really, really busy and I've just grabbed that big box of terrible, like Special K, like who am I kidding? The whole thing is just sugar, but I just like the sugary taste. That's just so bad. But anyway, that might be one of the cereals that I might like pull out. But, if I have to pull out the thing discreetly, but it might be one of those big boxes that I've folded over. But if someone leaps around the corner and they see me doing that, well, I just don't think that looks very 54-year-old. Do you know what I mean? It might be that. It might be porridge with a banana. It might be, a couple of bits of bread and a crust, like maybe 3 bits of bread and maybe like a jar of peanut butter. Honestly, this is the truth. I do eat quite a bit of fruit, so I'll always have some nice fruit. I can't even be bothered taking leftovers because then I've got to walk over to the kitchen and I've got to heat it up and then I've got to wash some of the dishes after that. So honest to goodness, I'm not into fancy dinners. I don't need someone putting time into cooking for me because, and this might just sound really, really bad, but, I just don't want to have the social pressure of reciprocating. Because while people might say, no, that's not a thing, I think it is a thing. I think it's an unspoken thing. And I think that, I've just heard over the years people sort of they might have invited such and such and then they came and they did, the pulled pork and all the things and the special dessert and the special soaked in orange peel and all those things that people might do at Christmas times and stuff like that. But, and just, they just didn't get invited back. So honestly, you know what? I don't even need to do those sorts of things. So, the kind of dinner that I like, I would rather spend, I did have 10 minutes as a bit of a note written here, and then I crossed it out and I put 15 because I thought that is just really showing what a basic biatch I am. Truth. That's it. I cannot tell a lie. This is not what this video is about, is it? But so I put 15, and I was going to say 15 because I thought 15 sounds a bit better. But then I thought, I don't know. It's probably like if I was left to my own devices and I wasn't cooking for anybody else. Not that I cook very much, but, it could just be 10 minutes. I just pretty basic. I just want functional food. Do the food, and then just get into doing the thing that I want to do. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's very sort of grown up. And when I look at my sisters-in-law, they are just so good at doing the proper kind of cooking thing and, just the cooking thing pretty much, And look, truly, I've done quite a bit of cooking over the years. I can cook and sometimes I like to cook and blah, 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 blah. But it's just it's just not my normal thing. I don't need to have a cooked dinner every night. Yeah, that probably just sums up the whole thing. I don't need to have a cooked dinner every night. And I don't place a lot of value on food that takes a long time to prepare. I feel comfortable saying no and not really making lots of excuses. Like I think about the last time that I was invited to someone's house to dinner and it was a Friday night. And actually, I might have also been invited just generally out to dinner as well by the same social people. They were quite social, to a restaurant. And I think I'd already gone, maybe 2 months before that. And then when they asked 2 months later, I felt that was really pushing my social schedule. And I just felt no, I can just say that I'm really beat on a Friday night after work because prioritising one's own needs, I don't think it's selfish. I think it's just self-care. And learning to trust your feelings, I think, is quite important. Also, if I get an invite and I immediately feel a bit anxious about it or prematurely drained, I just think to myself, I don't think that I'll say yes to that because I just can't be bothered generally. But look, if I'm away on holiday, I'm definitely up for being social, but just saying, I think I'm probably maybe 75% extrovert, I think. But I definitely don't do it with extended family social events. family or extended family, because I don't necessarily do lots and lots of those anyway. Also, it's choosing meaningful connections, isn't it, over ones that, might be a little bit forced, and just not spreading yourself thin. Number 5 is I love working and I don't want to retire. I don't have dreams about when I retire because I don't believe I'm ever going to retire from working. I don't ever want to retire from working. Having said that, when I say working, I mean I want to work in the kind of work that I really, really enjoy doing. I don't see me, pushing on to, I don't know, is it septuagenarian, octogenarian, 90-year-old genarian, 100-year-old genarian? Yeah, not doing a 9 to 5 when I'm super old and just clinging on by my fingertips, So, yeah, I don't dream about retiring. I don't put things off and say when I retire, because I do live very, very much in the present, and I'm building, I'm always working on things to build, for the future. And I just love work. I love work. Also, you know what? I've got this natural sense of time scarcity, and I really am always saying we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. We don't know what next week is going to bring. So, that's why, for example, I went to New York last year rather than doing my much needed laundry. Yeah, I don't take for granted that I'm going to have 20 or 30 years after a retirement superannuation type of age. I want to protect against outliving my savings, which I think is a very real thing. So in that way, I think that's why a lot of people are carrying on working. But yeah, I definitely think about that too. So people are living longer than ever. They're working longer, even working part-time, but that can definitely stretch funds that you have put away and saved for, and just want to keep on having fun and being able to do the things we all want to do. Also, I want to avoid the retirement shock. I've got this fear that, if I was just to retire, that all of the things that are kind of slightly bad habits, if taken to a bit of an extreme, I might just do a little bit too much of. Like, for example, sleeping in. I like to sleep in sometimes, and I think that I might sleep in a little bit too much if I was just to retire. I like to eat. I do like my chocolate biscuits. It's a bit of a concern that I might just park up with bottomless mugs of tea and bottomless packets of biscuits and just Dunkin', just have a Dunkin' good time with way too many biscuits. And just, I don't know, I just think that I could watch too much television and just really let it all go, So I do have a bit of a fear around that, because you have to be disciplined, and discipline is an area of my life that, is a definite work on. The other thing too is I did have a deep think about, what are some of the other reasons why, I want to keep on working, and depending on the way that you think about it, but working can maintain a sense of maybe status and influence. The reason why I'm saying that is I'm not saying that people who aren't working anymore don't have status or influence, but it's more just that there's a lot of people in society who will treat you differently if you are completely retired, or just give you less credibility as a person. And not to say that I'm really, really worried about that, but I would be worried probably chiefly how I would think about myself, I guess I also have seen my parents be retired. So that's a big one. Seen my parents be retired, and other people be retired, and it's not easy and smooth and just all the happiness and all the everything that some people might have hoped it would be. So I guess I've got the fear of that as well. So yeah, the preventing unhealthy routines, and that is pretty much it. And the other thing I wanted to show you is I was really excited to show you that I am wearing this perfume. This is Tom Ford Black Orchid, and it is a gorgeous patchouli perfume, and I sprayed this on to come down here and film this tonight at my local library. This is a gorgeous perfume, and I thought, oh my God, I really want to wear this to make this video because it just matches. All right, thanks for watching. I'm being kicked out now. Bye.